So welcome to our workshop on interviews and getting hired. We have the leadership of human resources departments from several San Diego County school districts who will introduce themselves to you. So panelists, I'll invite you to do so by the order I see you on my Zoom screen. So Michelle, can you just tell us your name and what district you're representing and your position?
Hi, everybody. My name is Michelle Hayes. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Personnel Services for the phenomenal Cajon Valley School District out here in East County.
Thank you.
Excited to be here.
Yes, thank you. Mike.
Yes, good evening. My name is Mike Fowler, and I am the current principal at Granite Hills High School in the Grossmont Union High School District. Dr. Stanfill, our assistant superintendent overseeing HR, could not be here tonight, and so he asked me to come in his stead, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. See Craig.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Craig Wiblamo. I am the Director of Human Resources for the Escondido Union High School District. We're the 9 through 12 district here in Escondido. And little advertisement here, we're currently seeking health teacher, math teacher, bio teacher, humanities teacher, and PE teacher, among other jobs.
Great, thank you. How about Kara?
Hi all, my name is Kara Marshall. I'm a Human Resources Officer for San Diego Unified School District. I am one of 7 because we're such a large district, but I'm also the point of contact for the district for the county office.
Yes, thank you. How about Joel?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Joel Garcia. I am the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources with Ramona Unified School District, and I'm happy to be joining you today. Welcome.
Thank you. And I saw Albert. I'm not sure he's hearing us.
Hello, can you hear me?
There you are.
Yeah, I'm getting set up here. I'll get my camera on in a second,
Sure.
but are we just introducing ourselves right now?
Exactly what district you're from.
I'm from the Escondido Union School District, and I work as their HR Certificated Director. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you for being here. Great. So you have a variety of school districts represented here, both elementary and high school and unified. So lots of great things that you're going to hear about. So let's get started. We have for our panelists questions organized in categories, the categories of applying, interviewing, and then follow up after the interview, and then some general questions. So I will ask the question and any panelist can answer. You can answer several of the questions or you can skip it. So in the section of applying, some EdJoin postings make it clear that interns are welcome to apply to the position, and other postings do not make it clear. Should interns only submit an application for the positions that specify interns are welcome to apply?
I'm sorry, I joined a little bit late. What are we supposed to be writing on? Or is there a document that was sent out?
So we are interviewing panelists right now. So the panelists are answering the questions that I'm tossing out. So any panelist can open up and give us your perspective on that question.
I would say to reach out to the person who is responsible for the posting and just shoot them a quick email. That's an option, or apply as an intern. There's a little bit more time involved in doing that if in fact they're not hiring for interns. But if you don't apply, you won't be eligible for the position. Apply within the timeline, you're not going to be eligible for the position regardless. So I would either reach out with a quick email to ask, or apply anyway and see what happens.
Yeah, I had the same exact thoughts as Michelle, actually. I said, go for it or ask the district, either one. And just be realistic. Some positions you're much more likely to get hired as an intern, for example, in special education, than you would in an area like in high school, like English or history, social science. It's less likely, but it doesn't hurt to go for it. It doesn't hurt to ask.
San Diego Unified is really similar to what Craig shared. There is a piece in our application where you'll be able to note that you are intern eligible, and you'll provide a letter from the county or from the school indicating that you are intern eligible. So we have that clear. If it's an area that we are hiring for interns for, in those really high needs subject areas, single subject math, physics, special education, then that's pretty exciting for us to see intern eligible. So we would speak with you about that though in your interview.
So over at Grossmont Union High School District, it's the same answer. As a site administrator principal, just last year in the flurry of hiring, I hired 3 interns, and our posting did not specify, whether or not they were eligible. And I certainly was grateful that they did apply, and got through our screening process and interviewed. And really, some of our strongest new teachers on campus are these 3 interns. So it does work, and particularly, like Craig said, special education, those high need areas.
So that's probably consistent across districts. It sounds like what I'm hearing is absolutely apply. If you're wondering, definitely call, but no reason not to call. And that interns are some of the best hires. So that's wonderful. Thank you for that input. So now something that you said, it's a little nitty gritty about that. So they're in the EdJoin application, then there will be a question that calls for the candidate to upload their credential, which they don't have. So what is the best document for the intern to upload to that space as you are reviewing those applicants, since they don't have that credential to upload?
Connie, I can start. I would say definitely upload a document. Don't leave that area blank, because then there's a question for us whether somebody just forgot to upload, right? And so I think be very intentional about uploading a PDF with an explanation that you're currently in the program through the County Office of Education, and that your plan is to be intern eligible by such and such a date. Obviously, we're very familiar with the County Office of Education and the program, and the wonderful service they're offering. So that's going to make a lot of sense. But we just don't want that, from our perspective as employers, don't want that to not be communicated clearly. You don't want that to be a question.
Yeah, and Connie, I'm not sure, we do this with the student teachers because they don't have a credential yet either. And oftentimes their supervisor or the school writes them a letter, or now they've created a new form that helps us understand that there's, that they meet qualifications in a certain way. Sorry about that. And that has helped us hire too. And I think this is similar to what we were saying before. Reach out so we can know your specific circumstances and help you get the information you need to be able to apply.
San Diego absolutely needs that letter from the county showing that you are intern eligible in place of that credential. Your application will not be screened through if you don't have that uploaded. So please, if you apply with us, make sure that that letter is uploaded in lieu of your credential.
Same for Cajon Valley.
So Connie, if you don't mind, I like, again, Mike at Grossmont Union High School District, this question or any other sort of technical questions, if you've got the ability to write this down, I'd like you to take the opportunity and give you the name of our HR admin assistant that can actually help you through these, the technical part of applying, right? Because it can be intimidating, and different districts ask for different things, but we really want to, that's, a large part of why we're here tonight, is to make the application process easy for you so that we can get to know you, right? So in Grossmont, her name is Sue Glover, and her phone number is, and I can put that in the chat, maybe that would save some time. But she's
right now.
It's 619-644-8020. And you can ask her the smallest question, the biggest question, the most complex question. She really is wonderful and will help you with any sort of the technical questions regarding applications and applying, and documents and uploads and those kind of things.
Good, thank you.
And
So
please take advantage of it. She's
she's very she's a great gal, and I believe every district will have an HR tech that you can call if you have any questions. This particular question is important because we do offer you a form letter that says that you are intern eligible as of a certain date. It lists why you are qualified, all the ways that you've become qualified. So that's important. If you don't have it in your hands yet, you can reach out for that. So thank you. One more about applying. So what makes an application stand out in the pool of applicants?
Not to jump ahead of anybody, but I can share with that. And it isn't so much about, it's twofold. One, it's making your application stand out. And it's also about you finding the district that's the right match for you. And they go hand in hand. So I encourage applicants to do their research and refrain from just applying to every single district that has an opening. And in part because this is hopefully going to be your lifetime career. Yes, people do change positions in districts from time to time, but I can speak from experience here in Cajon Valley. People stay for a very, very long time. And so logistically, the culture, the environment, the community demographics, all of that really needs to be a fit for you. And so I encourage you by starting off by doing your research and then bringing that into your application, that you're not just applying for a job, you're applying for this job. And those are the applications that really stick out to us. It isn't the candidate that's just looking to get employment. It's the candidate who really wants to come work for Cajon Valley for many of those reasons that I shared with you about doing your research.
And I just want to piggyback on that because one of my pet peeves, so I'm in an unusual situation. So Albert and I are in two separate school districts in Escondido. He's in Escondido Union School District. I'm in Escondido Union High School District. And if you can't even get that right, that's a problem for me. And I know it's ticky-tack, but I need to know that you know where you're applying and that you're applying for a high school position, not a middle school position, for example. I've seen things like wrong names, like they'll write to the superintendent of the wrong district. I've seen applications that come in with, frankly, completely the wrong information. So those are all killers. So I need to see somehow how you're connected to, in my case, Escondido, the community of Escondido. If you can make some sort of connection, that's huge, obviously. If I can get a sense that you understand my community, that's huge. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to take this from sort of the negative side. What makes something stand out in a negative way? Grammatical errors, spelling errors. I mean, you know that. So if that's not your strong suit, then please have someone review your materials before you submit them to make sure that all that's cleaned up. Also, formatting errors, failure to follow the application directions, like if it asks to submit in PDF format, you submit in Word or something like that. Those are all things. And then also something to avoid in a effort to stand out. Sometimes I've seen applicants sort of go over the top in the formatting of their resume or cover letter. You know, some people might get the idea that I should submit this in neon green font or something like that because that'll make me stand out from the pack. And I'm a bit of a traditionalist that way. Some people might be different, but that to me is, you don't get it. This is a professional position you're applying for. And so a nice, clean, polished, professional image is what you want to project when you're applying.
As with many answers in HR, it does depend, but if you know the school and the district well, and it really is about that fit. For example, for Escondido Union, if you have a passion for working with ELs and you have an awareness that we have about 40% EL and you're working that into your letter of intent and there's sincerity behind it, that you're not just saying that you want to work with the ELs because you know we have a lot, but you're talking about your experiences and your passions for EL. Those are a couple of things that we might look for in the letter of introduction, but it does depend on the position. Another very, very specific example is when we were hiring for our virtual school. I mean, we were specifically looking for applicants who had virtual teaching experience and a passion for technology. So we do like to be intentional with what we're looking for. And so if you're intentional with how you're drafting your letter for a specific school district, that's going to help us find that fit, which is what Michelle was saying. I mean, sometimes we can see that it's just a generic letter. Sometimes we've seen that people have forgotten to change maybe the school that they're addressing it to. And that makes it challenging to find the fit that we're looking for, which is really important for both the district and you. So keep that in mind.
For most of our pools with San Diego Unified, we do require that you upload a demo lesson. It is really important to us that you bring your A game in that demo lesson, because I sit and I watch demo lessons every single day, and I choose not to move some candidates forward based on that lesson. And I make notes for all the other HROs, just depending on who will actually be doing the interviews. So it's only 15 minutes long, but we do ask that you really bring a best example of your teaching in that lesson. So that's a big one for us, is really that demo lesson and making sure that it's solid. And then also for the pools that don't require a demo lesson, what I'm looking for when I get into that interview, I'm really looking at those letters of rec, professional and personal, and making sure that the person that's writing that letter for you can answer with specific examples around your work, what they have seen, and what causes them to believe that you are a great candidate for any school in San Diego Unified. Sometimes we can get letters of rec that just kind of like, Joel would be great at this, but no real specifics around what their experience was, and just examples of your great work. So I think that's an important piece as well.
Okay, those are all very, very helpful. We'll move over into the interviewing side of things then. So we're going to concentrate on interviews now. How about this? What are some of the candidate qualities, actions, or responses that are most impressive during an interview? What do you hope to see in that candidate, from that candidate? Pretty open-ended question.
Connie, I can start. I think about, as you're preparing for interviews, think about your why, right? Going back to Michelle's piece, think about that fit. I think that's really important. You want to certainly convey that in an interview. And then any experience that you can draw upon of work that you've done in working with youth. That would be helpful, no matter in the capacity that it might be. Anything that you could do to answer the questions from a place of, here's what I've done in a similar situation, and speaking from a place of experience, I think what always also comes across much stronger. If you don't have that experience, that's okay. I think answering the question is, here's what I know from the research, or what I know from my program, or what I would do in that particular situation, I think would be helpful. But anytime that you could draw upon your own experience, I think personally, I think your voice changes. I think you appear to be more confident, and it comes across as a much stronger response to the question.
It's really key, especially if you might end up doing virtual interviews. Make sure you're taking an extra second to digest what the question is. Anytime I'm offering any kind of practice or coaching, I try to tell the person I'm practicing with, okay, this question might have 2 parts and might has 3 parts, and have them practice. What are those 2 parts that I was asking? What were the 3 parts? Most districts are going to provide scoring for how you answer, and so you'll want to pay attention and make sure you answer all the components of a question. And I would definitely echo Joel, making sure you have specific examples, because you all have experience in education, you all have philosophies. Really want to spend some time talking about what you're doing, and how you've done it, and how you've done it successfully. That'll really help you stand out from other candidates.
I highly encourage people to prepare for interviews and to practice. It is an entirely different skill set than some of us have naturally. And even going through the motions of predicting what type of questions that they may be asking you, and working with a friend or even somebody within your own cohort to sit down and go through those question answer practice sessions, you will find that you will be so much more comfortable. And even though the question may be something that you didn't practice, just that pattern of response, think time, listening to the question, like Albert was saying, and then being able to formulate an answer that is clear, succinct, and conveying the information that you want your response to convey is really, really important. The other thing I would encourage people to do is to prepare questions. And I encourage you to, the question not to be, where will I be placed on the salary schedule? But some really thoughtful questions about the district and or about, the expertise from the panel members, if you happen to know who might be there. Is it a district level interview? Is it a teacher level interview? There'll be other teachers on the panel. And just really prepare your questions in advance, 1 or 2, probably not more than 3. So it really shows that you're prepared, and then really put some thought and time into the interview. That alone will help you stand out against other candidates, and you'll be able to respond better to questions because you're going to feel more confident and therefore less nervous. And when you're less nervous, your brain works better. That's all research-based practices on interviewing. So hopefully that you'll find that helpful.
Yeah, the internet's great for searching for sample questions. You probably all know that. Just Google it and you'll probably come across thousands of questions, but they fall into categories. So you can, come up with categories. I think making flashcards is a great idea. And like Michelle was saying, practice. I mean, shuffle those cards up, pull up a random card and answer it like you just got that question in an actual interview panel situation, and practice. And you'll find yourself sometimes screwing up, and then you can start over and do your answer again. And by the time it's showtime for real, you'll be ready for it. So practice and be ready.
And one more, have your 3-minute elevator pitch about who you are, your training and your experience that qualify you for the position that you're applying for, because I can almost guarantee you every single one of your interviews will start with a question very same or similar to that. And it's purposeful and intentional to decrease your anxiety, to get you talking and to get you more comfortable so we can get to know you better. But over and over again, the candidates that really struggle, they don't have their 3-minute elevator pitch. And so they're struggling from the get-go with the question. And that's the easiest one to predict and to prepare for because it's all about you. And that will also help you increase your comfort level and ability to respond eloquently to those future questions.
I think
one
someone
more.
mentioned sharing your why and your why being really clear. I'm listening really, really carefully for your why. It can honestly, I can hear it in every single one of our questions. In your response, if your why is strong, I can hear it come through. Again, like Joel shared, examples, what have you done, what has worked? If you haven't done it yet, what would you do? What's your natural instinct? What would you do in that case? And then also, my schools alone run from Scripps Ranch down to the border of National City. And so I'm listening for people that are going to be amazing for any child in any community. I put them in. I don't know how different we are from the other districts that are here, but we do work in a pool system. So you aren't applying for a particular school. So when you come to interview for San Diego Unified, you could end up anywhere in San Diego Unified. And I just need to know that that you're the best for our kids. And don't, here's a don't for you. I have literally had people tell me, I really only want to work in this area and it's close to my house and this is where I want to be. Then you're probably not a great fit for San Diego Unified. So have it in mind that we are wanting you for all of our students.
Yeah, and to follow up, I suppose the message is know where you're applying. So in San Diego Unified, understand if you're applying into a pool, and if you're applying to some of our other smaller districts like Grossmont Union High School District, you ought to know something about it. And it goes back to that fit idea. So I'm going to ask you what qualifies you to teach math, right? But I'm really interested in, why do you want to teach math at Granite Hills High School? Why do you want to teach mathematics in the East County? Why, you got to know something about El Capitan High School and their ag program, or my school is an international baccalaureate program or something. And let me know that you really are interested in this community and serving this particular community. San Diego is different because of the large geographic nature and the, so just know who you're applying to and what's expected, I suppose. But yeah, I've seen it overdone as well, because I suspect you're applying to a lot of places. No one expects you to go read all of our WASC accreditation reports and pull data. And sometimes that is less than genuine. And I don't need to be wowed by your knowledge of our, whatever, the details of that data. In fact, it'll get you goofed up. And then when you misquote that data or identify something that's simply not true, kind of shoot yourself in the foot that way too. So keep it simple so that, you can work through those nerves.
Connie, the other thing I would add to interviewing is be yourself, smile, have fun with it. The people sitting on the other side of the table from you are rooting for you. They want you to be successful. They're looking for a way to like you and to find a fit for you for the districts. And one of the mistakes I see people come in is that they're fearful. And so we don't get to see their personality. And what that relates to is, how do I see this person in front of a classroom of students? And so as hard as it is, and again, that goes back to practicing. If you're coming in and you're feeling good and you're confident, you're more likely to be relaxed. You're more likely to be yourself. You're more likely to allow us to see your personality, and just smile and have fun with it, because that's what we're also looking for our kids. Somebody who's going to smile and have fun and be comfortable and confident in front of them. We find it, and yes, interviewing is serious, but find the humor in it. Not over the top. Seen that too. That's a little uncomfortable for everybody. But just find that place where you can just really be yourself and show your personality and just smile and have fun.
So what Michelle just shared about being comfortable, that is absolutely super important. My goal, as we're welcoming somebody into the interview room, is to try and make that person as comfortable as possible, because I think we're going to see their best self. And so I think what you could do for yourself in preparation, a couple of different pieces, just very practical pieces, is know where you're going to be interviewing, right? The address, the physical location of where you're going to be interviewing. And I say that because some school districts, like ours, we're very centralized in our interviews. And so we do them, we conduct most of them at the district office, and our administrators come to the district office. Other school districts are more decentralized. And so you may be interviewing at the school site with the administrator and some teachers, right? So know where the interview is going to be. And who's going to be on the panel, right? Potentially. Right now, is it going to be over Zoom? Is it going to be in person, right? All those different pieces that you just want to make sure you're sure of 100%, I think would be helpful. Give yourself enough time. That's really important. And then somebody earlier mentioned being succinct with your answers. That's really important as well. On our end, just know that some days we're running interviews from 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, all the way till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? We have all our principals in the same room. And so we're in a really tight schedule. I'm really big on that. So we may schedule interviews for every 25 minutes. And I time a lot of our interviews, right? So we have, maybe 12 or 10 questions to get through in that amount of time. We'll let people know halfway through how you're doing. But if somebody's really, spending 8 minutes on their 2-minute elevator speech, that's going to be less time for you to spend on the rest of the questions, and then you're going to end up selling yourself short, right? So just be on the lookout for that and listen for those social cues, listen for those timing cues, and I think that'll help put you at ease as well. You don't want to be rushing through the end of the questions as well.
These are such great tips. Some of you mentioned a few don'ts in there, which is very helpful, and which was also our next question. But I think you've been very clear. I mean, even down to giving yourself enough time, don't be late and add that stress to you or make that impression, on your panel. So really, really helpful things. Let's move into something more general. I just have one more general question just regarding the candidates in this room, and I'm going to open it up for what questions you all have. So be ready to use your raise hand feature if you have something that you haven't heard yet that you'd like to know about. So the one general question we wanted to ask is specific to what the district would look for during an interview for specifically a special education position. What do you need to hear from someone that wants to be a special educator? And what do you need to hear from someone who wants to be a single subject math or science teacher? Are there specific things that you say, oh, that's what I really am looking for in this interview?
Here's my thoughts regarding the special education teacher and what we're looking for. There is, I don't know, maybe not so much recently, but there's a very real history of people using the special education credential as a way into the school system. I think that drives everybody crazy. And so I guess what I need to hear is your why that was mentioned before. That, these students, we need highly qualified, passionate, caring teachers. And that's the only people I want to put into those classrooms and work with my students. And so I really, I guess I want to know that why and see that passion, a genuine, a desire to make a difference and do work that matters from all of my candidates. But I think maybe it's even more magnified a little bit when I'm looking for a special education teacher. And that could be a personal thing because of some history that I know some have used that credential because it is a high need area. And those that really don't have a passion for that work make their way into our school systems. And that's not necessarily a terrible thing, but I'm going to try to sniff that out a little bit in the interview.
Yeah. For us, with special education, the legal compliance is such a huge piece of that. So do you have a deep understanding of the IEP process? All the components of it, how you go about conducting a legally compliant IEP process from communicating with the individuals involved, communicating the goals of the student, all the paperwork involved, and also do you have knowledge of the testing that's required for the IEP process? Those would be a couple of really important nuts and bolts to special education. To answer your question about single subject, was it math and then single subject science? So typically individuals, I'm a single subject science. So typically for single subject science math, we may be a little bit more maybe left-brained when it comes to our content area. So one thing is knowledge of your content area, but also an understanding of how you will teach it to the age group that you're applying for. Do you have knowledge of engagement strategies? I'm sure you know Pythagorean theorem. You know how to teach the concept of it and the algorithm of it, but do you know how to break it down? Do you know how to provide scaffolds? Do you have an understanding that you're going to be teaching EL students, SPED students in the classroom? And so your approach to math can't just be, I'm going to be at the whiteboard and I'm going to show the formula, and then kids are going to work on worksheets for the next 30 minutes, and then I'll just go about the room and checking in on them. No, do you have an understanding of how to chunk information? That you're going to have students at a variety of math levels and a variety of EL levels. And you have an understanding of the differentiation required to be able to scaffold and make the content accessible to students. And you want to take a student-centered approach to math. So those quickly, some of the look forwards there. So I hope that answered that question.
I'm going to add to that. Yes, absolutely, unequivocally to all of those responses. And we're also looking for student centered focus on students' well-being and thriving embedded in those responses and not as an afterthought. So it isn't just the response to a question that you might receive about that, but truly, how do you feel about spending the majority of your day, all day, 5 days a week, loving on children? And again, it isn't just a response to a question. It's how does that come out in your interview as a whole?
I think the mild mod is, and our mod severe are kind of a double whammy area, because you have to be highly organized, highly organized. And we have to be able to hear that. You need to be able to articulate what that looks like for you. And then at the same time, I need to hear that flexibility around our most fragile learners. You can't, there is nothing like, there's very staying within some really strict lines when it comes to timelines and IEPs and things like that, but there's not much about staying in really tight lines when it comes to your kids. So we need to see that flexibility and that response to their needs and what your moves are. And it really is student centered. And so that's a unique position. And then with our math and science, that is a very unique individual to me too, because I am not a math or science person myself. But I think for us, we get into some positions where we might need some really odd pairings. Like I might have a site that needs math and English, and there aren't a ton of people out there that are looking to do math and English, or we're looking for math and physics. So I think when you think about San Diego Unified and you're talking single subject, think about, is there another credential that you would be open to looking into a limited assignment in, or interested in teaching, or I thought about dabbling in this and I'd like to look at it more. If you do come in, maybe if you do come in with more than one area that you would be open to teaching in, that's really great for us. And if you let us know that can open more options for you. Now, maybe you're just a straight math person and you don't want to do anything else, and that's absolutely fine. We have homes for you as well. But if you are interested in more than one subject area, that can be really helpful.
Kara, in case you missed it, Anne was jumping up and down at your math English example. In case you really are looking for somebody, one of those unicorns.
We are.
She was waving at you.
We are looking for 2 of those unicorns this year. So if you're out there.
There you go, Anne. We found you a match.
Excellent. Thank you all so much for all of these amazing tips. If anyone has any questions that they would like to ask, please go ahead and raise hands, and then we will call on you and you can ask them. Armando, do you want to get us started off?
Yes, my question's direct for Kara Marshall about the lesson plan, uploading lesson plan. Does it need to be like in an actual classroom with the students you're teaching? Or do you want it like it's a mock lesson plan with not real audience, real students?
So for the demo lesson, if it is in front of live students, that's great, because it gives me a feel of how you actually interact with students and what are your moves in the moment. We don't have to see student faces. So if that's a concern of having students on film, I don't need to see student faces, but it, to me, is more helpful to actually see you interacting with students so I can see what your real teaching moves are. If it needs to be, during the last 2 years, we had a lot of people share with us their Zoom lessons. And so that's also something that you can do, is if you have a Zoom lesson, but anytime you can have kids with you, that's great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, ma'am. So I have 2 questions. One of them is, so I am an intern and I've been applying for positions and getting interviews and job offers from like job postings that aren't intern specific. So I know they're open to it, but for things like evaluating students for placement, I don't have any experience in that area because I've never had the authority to make those type of calls. So how do you guys feel about that?
I think we do hire interns, and we do have folks, obviously, because they're interns, come in and they don't necessarily have the deep level of experiences that certainly a veteran teacher may have. I would just be able to speak to what experiences that you do have related to that, and indicate too your willingness to learn and explore and understand that as an intern, there's going to be extra work on your part that you may need to do. And be prepared to respond to questions like that, because as interns, not just that specific example, there's likely going to be other questions that you may not be able to answer directly to with recent experiences about that topic, and prepare for that.
Yeah, I have to echo that. Please, please, please be forthcoming about areas for growth, because you're a new teacher who's applying. We were all new teachers at one point in time too, so we understand. You don't have that depth of experience yet, and so don't try and fake it, because we and all the members of the panel or experienced educators are going to see right through it. So just be forthcoming, but be enthusiastic and positive about how much you want to learn about that area, and how you're gonna grow as a professional when you do enter the profession.
And I'll add to that, Sarah, that could be a really good question that you ask, because like we said earlier, you're also gauging fit, right? You're also gauging where what district you might really see yourself in. So that might be a really good question that you ask about supports available to you, about professional learning opportunities, right? So all those pieces might come out in a question that you ask at the end of the interview.
Excellent. Sarah, I think you said you had a follow-up question as well, correct?
Yes, ma'am. So this one doesn't really have much to do with the interview process. It has more to do with like the professional relations process. A lot of us are going to be getting offers from multiple school districts, and we're trying to get positions that we feel would most benefit us. So let's say I get an offer from this school district over here, and I get an offer from this school district over here, and I choose to take this offer. What do I say to this school district over here that's, professional and that doesn't like belittle the offer, if that makes sense?
Yeah, we understand that happens, and that you're potentially going to have different districts and maybe different options on the table. So just be professional and honest with it. It's totally fine for you to say, thank you for the offer. I had a great time. Thank you for the interview. I enjoyed, going through that process with you. Unfortunately, I did accept another position, and so that's my decision. I think the key thing is not responding and making us start to guess, hey, are you accepting it? We're trying to reach you and we can't. That's really where the issues come in, us not being able to get in contact with you so we can make our next steps and make our decisions that we have to.
Yeah, I agree with Albert 100%. I think be really honest. More than likely what you're going to hear on the other end of the phone is congratulations. I'm really happy for you. Good luck, right? And because we're all educators, we're all got in this because we're in the service. We have a heart of serving people, right? So I'll add to that. Please, I would ask, don't commit to a school district and then a week later, 2 weeks later, a month later, turn around and go, never mind, I went ahead and got an offer somewhere else, right? Educational administration and the world of HR is a small world, and it's just bad karma to do that. So don't do it, because you really leave the district in a really bad spot and having to find somebody after they really thought that they already had a really good candidate that's been committed as well, right? So you don't want to do that.
Joel, thank you for mentioning that, because our candidates they've learned that in our program, when that happens, we welcome them to leave one district and take another position, but it will not be with our program. So that's a very good reminder. And Joel is saying that from the district's perspective, which is why it has become a program policy for us too. So thank you very much.
And this is all very real. We had a teacher sign a contract with a large school district, was waiting to be placed at a site, and then continued to interviewed with us. We offered her a position and she accepted and actually began teaching with us, and didn't follow up with the with that original offer and actually signed contract, it resulted in this brand new teacher being contacted by, the California credentialing folks. And she ultimately had her credentials suspended for a few days. We worked it out during a holiday, but this can be very serious for people. So I'm glad that was mentioned here today.
Okay, so let's say I received this offer, but nothing's been signed, nothing's been formalized yet, and I receive another offer that I feel like would benefit me more. Would it still be uncouth for me to say, hey, I know I received this offer, but I received another offer over here that I feel would benefit my career more? Would that still be would that be professionally acceptable since I haven't like formalized anything?
Yeah, that would be fine. It's really once you sign your contract and you have it in writing, and then the next day you say, oh, I changed my mind, I have another contract. That's when things start, getting more questionable because you've made a commitment to the school district.
Here's the other thing too that can come up sometimes, and where I think new teachers or applicants are hesitant to engage in a conversation with whoever they may be working with at the district office or who's been helping them through the application process. You're going through some interviews, and oftentimes, like in our district, you might go through 3 different interviews before you're actually given an offer. And you're in the middle of that process. And obviously we recognize that you may be in the middle of that process with another district as well. What I would encourage you, if it's a timing thing, let's say, for example, you'd really rather work with District A, but District B jumped ahead and happened to call you ahead of time and give you an offer, it is appropriate to ask them for 24 hours before committing to that assignment. Maybe 48, probably not more than 48 is going to be comfortable for the district because they're trying to move forward and fill their positions. And so have the confidence to say, hey, I really appreciate the offer. I'm super excited. Can I have 24 hours to confirm my acceptance? Perfectly appropriate. It is also appropriate to reach back to the other district, and maybe it's your first choice of the position, and let them know. And it isn't disrespectful to say, unless it's not true. If it's not true, don't do it, because we all talk. So I would definitely advise you not to do it. But if it's true, and just call and say, hey, I'm really, really interested in, and I'll use my district as an example, I'm really interested in the 4th grade position I applied for, or the math position I applied for at such and such school. Do you know when the timeline is for them to be making a decision? Because I have this other offer on the table, but my heart is with Cajon Valley. That is a perfectly appropriate phone call or email to send. I wouldn't recommend doing that, like I said, for 3 or 4 days or bouncing back and forth all the way around, but we want it to be a good fit for you and want you to be successful. And we want to find a great person for our district, because the answer on the phone may be, oh my gosh, I was just about to call you to offer the position. Or it may be, let me call the principal. I think they were planning on making a decision today or tomorrow. And so I wouldn't want you to miss out on your dream job because you took the first thing that was offered to you and didn't have the confidence to ask for 24 hours to follow through with the research that you have. And we've had this happen too. You may be in a situation where you've got to decide that you're going to take the job that was offered to you because you've got a limited amount of time to accept it, not knowing what's happening with the other job that you're interviewing for. And that's tough. It does happen. And just know and understand, we have timelines and processes that we have to get through. And there's certain things that sometimes that we have to do that we're not able to hurry up and make that offer for you. But it is definitely worth putting pause and asking the question, especially if it is your dream job and what you really, really wanted. And I think the districts would respect you for doing that when it's done well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, really great stuff. You guys, I'm just happy for all of you hopeful, interns, that you're getting this great inside scoop. And for so many districts, we are at our time, but I do want to give our districts, anybody that wants to just say one quick thing. This is your 30-second elevator speech about your district and why somebody might want to come be a part of it.
Well, I'm not shameless. Nobody else is saying anything. So I'm going to step up and tell you the Cajon Valley is absolutely the best place to work. We have positions posted right now, and we would love to review your applications and get you in here for an interview.
And we're looking for equity warriors. So if that's important to you, that's our mission, that's our vision. Probably don't apply if you're not an equity warrior, but if you are, we want you, and we would love to speak with you to give our kids the best experience possible.
I already did my shameless plug for the jobs we're flying right now in Escondido Union High School District. So I just encourage you to visit EdJoin and see what we're flying. We're a wonderful district up here in North County, and would love to see you apply.
In Escondido, we are a TK through 8 district, so a bit smaller, and we're big on technology and innovation, and we look forward to potentially working with all of you.
And I'll just say again, this is Joel Garcia, Ramona Unified School District. We do have vacancies in area of special education, math, and science, which are degrees, of course, that you are all pursuing. Those are all posted on EdJoin right now. It's been great getting to meet you all and interacting with you, and we hope you apply for positions in our district.
I think this may have been our best panel yet. Thank you so
Can I
much.
jump in? Oh, I want to take
Oh, please,
a shot.
Oh,
So, listen, yeah, Grossmont Union High School District. I know there's some confusion. We have a Grossmont High School, but the district goes by the same name. But we've got 9 comprehensive high schools and then 2 big charter high schools, all in Steel Canyon and Helix. And we serve the East County out here. And one thing that really I love about this district is we're large enough to have significant resources and programs and opportunities, and yet small enough where we all know one another and care about one another and really do work that matters. So anyway, thank you for letting me join you today.
I'm really glad you did. Mike came at the last minute, and we're really grateful. So we do hope that you see some of these teacher candidates in your applicant pools for positions in the fall. So thank you for giving your evening. We just appreciate it so much. And we are saying farewell, and we'll talk to you all soon.